The verdict is in. And this one is not about capability. Not about whether you have what it takes. Not about talent, not about timing, not about resources, circumstances, or the convenient explanations people use to justify the distance between the life they are living and the life they are capable of. This verdict is about something more precise, more uncomfortable, harder to argue with. This verdict is about knowing. Because here is what is true about almost everyone listening to this. You already know. Not vaguely. Not in that soft, motivational, I could probably do more kind of way. Specifically. Clearly. In the quiet moments. In the unperformed hours. Before the day begins. Before the noise returns. Before the version of you that manages everything steps back in. You know. You know which version of your life is real. There is the life you are living. Structured, organized, expected. The one built around obligations, roles, and what people recognize you as. And then, there was the real one. The one that existed before you had language for it. The one that shows up when your mind drifts. The thing you think about when you're supposed to be thinking about something else. The thing you do when no one is watching. The thing you speak about differently. Faster. Sharper. With something alive in your voice that doesn't exist anywhere else. You know. You have always known. So the question is not whether you know. The question is, why? Knowing all of this, are you still pretending that you don't?
Let's answer that, not with judgment, with precision. Because the pretending is not weakness. It is a protection system. And protection systems exist because something real needed protecting from something that once felt genuinely threatening. Here's what it's protecting you from: the cost of knowing. Because the moment you stop pretending, the moment you fully acknowledge what your real life looks like, you also have to face everything that isn't it. Every obligation tied to a version of you that isn't real. Every relationship built around who you perform instead of who you are. Every year spent maintaining a life that was never fully yours. And that realization hurts. Not in a motivational way. Not in a this will make me stronger way. Just pain. The kind that comes with loss. Because something was lost. Not stolen. Not blocked by fate. But left behind. In small, reasonable decisions made over and over again. And the pretending? It protects you from that grief. From sitting still long enough to feel the distance between where you are and where you've always known you could be. It protects you from the weight of that gap. And for a time, that protection was necessary. It helped you function when the truth felt too heavy to carry. But here's the shift. Protection systems don't stay neutral once they outlive their purpose. They become obstacles. The same mechanism that once protected you now keeps you stuck. The pretending that once helped you survive is now preventing you from moving forward. And there is a difference. A real, life-altering difference between pretending because you're not ready yet and pretending because you've forgotten that you're pretending at all. So how do you know which one you're in? Here's the test. If it still feels like a choice, if you know you're holding something back for reasons you can explain, that's protection. But if it feels like reality, if it feels like this is just how things are, this is just who I am, this is all that's available to me, then the performance has become your truth. And that's when it becomes urgent. Because a performance that feels like reality cannot simply be turned off. It has to be dismantled, carefully, layer by layer. And that process begins with one question. If you knew, without a doubt, that you could not fail, would you still be living this life? Not a fantasy version, not unlimited resources. This life, with one thing removed, the fear of failure. Would you stay, or would something change? And if something would change, what exactly are you afraid of? Not failure. Name it. The specific loss, the specific outcome, the exact thing your mind is trying to protect you from. Because once a fear is named, clearly, precisely, it can be examined. And examined fears lose power, slowly. Until you realize something. The life you're avoiding is not more dangerous. It is less. Because it doesn't require you to live as two people, to maintain the gap, to keep pretending. You already know which life is real. The verdict has been in for a long time. The pretending served its purpose. But this is not that season anymore. This is the season where pretending costs more than truth, where maintaining the gap is more exhausting than closing it. So stop pretending you don't know. You know. You have always known.